Niger State?
Well, the abductions of these schoolboys in Kagera could not have been categorized as unexpected in the sense that abductions and attacks has been going on in Kagera area in the last 2 to 3 years. Virtually 3 local governments, Rafi, which is Kagera Shiroro, and Munya local government, are virtually under the siege of these bandits. They have displaced villagers, they have killed people, they have extorted ransom and has impoverished the people living in those rural communities. So it is easy to see that for a school that is located at the epicenter of this banditry and violence, it's very easy for one to conclude that it is simply going to be a run-over for the bandits to take over students. And I have had the figures of 27. But the fact was that if the bandits wanted to take the whole students, including the whole teachers, they could have easily do it. Because this is something that has been going on, and the authorities refuse to take measures that will protect students, that will protect the school, and that will make it impossible for such bandits to commit such heinous act. For now, we have not learned our lessons. We're supposed to learn geography after an earthquake, but from what has happened in Dapchi, in Chibok, in Kankara, now in Kagera, it's clear that we have not learned our lessons.
In this regard, what should the government be doing to secure the release of these boys or to get these boys back?
First of all, if we want to get these boys out, there are 2 ways to go about it. One is to negotiate, and the second is to use force. But the latter comes with a lot of danger and implications to the lives and safety of these boys. So what has been traditional, what has been the convention in the northwestern part of Nigeria nowadays is that when people are abducted and kept as hostages, the kidnappers place phone calls, then you pick it, and then you negotiate a price for which you will pay them and then get your hostages out. Anything short of that will be putting the lives of these young boys in harm's way. And what we fail to do with public resources in terms of providing protection for schools, now we have to pay ransom. It is bitter, it is sad, it is tragic that our country today has become such a bewildered and beleaguered land where people have to pay ransom to get their loved ones out of the hands of kidnappers. As you can see, that is the case in Zamfara, it's also the case in Katsina and in parts of Kaduna State. In Kaduna State, in local governments like Birningwari, Igabi, Giwa, Kajuru, part of Chikun, kidnapping and this banditry has become a major problem. And not that, many villages from Kaduna to Niger State has virtually been overrun by these bandits. Our concern with that of Niger is the proximity of the state to the federal capital. What has affected Niger State will certainly affect Abuja because most part of Abuja was carved out of Niger State. The porosity of security has to do with the weaknesses and incompetence of those who are heading the security apparatus of the state. For any trained security personnel, he knows very well that in a violent situation like this, vigilance should be a 24-hour thing. Like what has happened in Kagera. Kagera Science School used to be one of the best schools in northern Nigeria that has produced some of the best doctors, professors, accountants, and at the time it has over 3 members, House of Reps, and even ministers. And that school was one of the best in the sense that our teachers were teachers that came from Canada, United States, India, Pakistan, and all parts of the world. You can see how this tragedy has exposed the neglect, the decay, the rot, and the decadence in that school in the last few years. The porosity of our security system has to do with the inability of our security apparatus to do what they need to do. And in the 21st century, you cannot have any security system without the use of technology. Time has passed where you mount a checkpoint and then you open boots and then you flash torchlight on the faces of passengers and then you tell them to go. You need drones that will give you information on the movement of this bandit. These bandits are not sophisticated criminals. They only have their motorcycles and AK-47, and they move in groups, and they use the same technology, the GSM, to make call and extort money. If we are a serious country, we're supposed to have drone stations in Zamfara, in Kaduna, in Niger State, that will reach out, provide the necessary information to our security agencies for which they know what to attack. But we always allow things to happen before we think of what to do. Each time you have this attack, then you have crucial meetings, critical meetings, indoor meetings, closed-door meetings, emergency meetings, which all these meetings have not been able to teach us any lessons or provide lessons for which we can use to prevent the next attack.
Can you paint a picture of what Kagara looks like?
Kagara is an ancient town, one of the cradle of the civilization of the north. It is located in the eastern part of Niger State, and also it has some of the best that has come from that very state. And the school particularly is a unity school that has produced some of the best that come from different parts of northern Nigeria. And one of the famous Hausa writers called Dr. Abubakar Imam come from Kagara town. So this tragedy, for now at least, has brought the school and the town to limelight. But unfortunately, the town itself now is being surrounded by bandits. And if you can remember, 2 days before the invasion and attack on Kagara school, there was kidnap of about 24 passengers. And well, those passengers were applying the roads that leads to Kagara. And a day after the attack on Kagara, there was still abductions. And this is something that is going on every day. We have become a nation of daily funeral services, burials, and mourning, and it's very unfortunate. And the earlier the president wakes up and do what is right, the better for us and for the future and stability of this country.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge for the nation's security forces?
I think the biggest challenge has to be technology. I've said it earlier that you can't fight the 21st century crime with the 20th century strategy. Technology has made things so easier. There is no hidden place for anyone. With the use of Google Map, you can see any street, any house, and see people. Why can't we use technology to track down these bandits? They move in 50, 100, 200 in groups. Why can't we use technology to get down these bandits? A question. We are fighting almost like it's an insurgency. I don't know how a fighter aircraft will be more effective than you have a drone. And when you are not fighting in another country, you are fighting bandits within your own very country. So it is inexcusable that a country like Niger and Algeria, that are almost 1.5 size of Nigeria, or Sudan, can safely secure their border, and we are unable to do that. It is not about recruiting 50 and 100,000 more soldiers, more policemen, and more civil defense cadres. But it is about providing them the tools, the equipment for them to be able to work. Let us go back. How many of these divisional police offices you see with a functioning vehicle? How many of them do you see with a functioning communication gadgets? How many of the policemen now can safely see if there's an attack, they can mobilize their vehicles to move to the center of the attack and do what is right? We have reached a point where people have given up. Once your loved one is picked up, you wait for the phone call from the kidnapper, you negotiate by paying ransom and get your unloved one out of danger. Sometimes it's even the security agencies that encourage people to go and negotiate in order to get their loved ones out. So it has reached this point that if we are desirous of preserving this country, if we are desirous of the future of our country, we have to invest in necessary security technology that will make it impossible. How can you see a kidnapper will pick on his hostage, take him to the bush, use the same phone number to call the family members, and then you don't know where to report to? And if you report, nobody takes any action about it. Sometimes some of the corpses of people who are killed are discovered almost 7 to 8 days. There is a town in a village called Odawa and Kurebe and Bassa in Niger State, Gurumana, Madeka. Most of these villages have simply become ghost towns. People have deserted them because of these bandits. So we cannot think of preserving this country until we move to deal with these criminals that are becoming an insurgent force.
Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.